one of the benefits of being sustainable and having solar is retaining and attracting top talent. And I could say that is one of the reasons that I came to Melink, is that I saw what they were doing here, and that it wasn't just about making a profit, it was about making the world a better place and actually walking the talk.
It is an amazing day to be shooting and filming the What Gives podcast. We are coming to you from Melink Solar, and right behind me, I've got a bunch of solar panels, and I have some pretty amazing guests. If you guys want to start off and introduce yourselves to our listeners today, that'd be great.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having us, Erin.
Yes.
My name is Fabian Schmal. I'm the managing partner of Bold Promises Delivered, who is a partner in Melink Solar. When it comes to the business, I'm involved on the growth side, strategy, investor relations, sales.
Very nice.
Yeah, thank you again for coming. I'm Seth Parker, CEO of Melink Solar. So Melink Solar designs and builds solar PV systems for the C&I market and utility scale customers. So we don't do any residential, and we don't do the massive solar farms either that are thousands and thousands of acres. So generally commercial and industrial, universities, and small businesses, and what we call distributed generation utility scale.
I love that. Thank you for educating me on that. I wasn't sure if I should call you for my house, renovation here, or if it was just commercial. Frankly, I'm one Ohioan who needs educated on this topic. Is really one. Tell me, why solar?
So
if you're breaking it down for somebody that has minimal knowledge.
So I think, first of all, what I really like about solar, it has, if you look at it, versus maybe like a wind turbine or something, it has no moving parts, so you have more or less no maintenance. So it's kind of more or less like a George Foreman grill. You set it and forget it.
Yes.
But it does,
love my George Foreman grill.
It does produce energy every day for you.
Yes.
And what has really changed over the last couple of years, from my perspective, 5-10 years ago, the Googles of this world, the companies who more money maybe is not that important, could do stuff like solar, and where it's cool. But now, not only is it cool, is it the right thing to do for the environment, but it is really, really a good investment. I mean, every solar installation we have with manufacturers has a double-digit 12, 15, 18% internal rate of return.
Wow.
So you won't find as many.
Which is incredible. I mean, it's better than my mutual fund returns.
Absolutely.
Right now.
Absolutely, no question. But I think then there comes more, because I think it really helps you with talent attraction. So especially, let's say the next younger generation, they're all looking for more sustainability. They want to work for sustainable companies. And then me coming out of the automotive industries, there are now more and more market-driven demand, all OEMs now require from their tier one suppliers to reduce their carbon footprint. You see it in the aerospace, even Walmart. Retail. Every single big company, let's say, is requesting from their suppliers to do something and reduce their carbon footprint. And now you bring it all together. You help your sales, you attract talent, and you save money. What is there not to love about?
Right. I love it. I'm like, when can we do that at the foundation?
Absolutely. We should talk about that.
Yeah. No, just being out here is incredible, and I'm already way more excited about solar than I was an hour ago. So let's talk Melink Solar. Let's talk how this came to be and kind of the story. So, Fabian, do you want to start with how this all really transpired and how you came on board? Because this is very impressive to me.
So, me and a good friend who is an investment partner in Bold Promises Delivered, we actually joined Melink Solar about a year ago as an investor, and now trying and help and support the company in their growth. So we're growing exceptionally, hiring, growing right here in Cincinnati in Ohio. And I think Seth is certainly much better suited to share a little bit the history, how Melink Solar developed, originally founded by Steve Melink.
Sure, yeah. So Steve Melink, that's where the name Melink comes from. So he's local here, and he started this company in 1987. He actually started as a national HVAC testing and balancing firm in his basement. Wendy's was one of his first customers.
Really?
And while he was doing that work, he invented a new product called IntelliHood. At the time, that market did not exist. It was a brand new product. He invented it as actually against code to install that product when he invented it. And then now, actually, today, if you have a kitchen above a certain size, you have to have controls like the controls that he invented in the kitchen hood per code.
Wow.
So it's something that's where the business actually started a long time ago. And then as a business owner, probably mid 2000s, I think he kind of got bit by the sustainability bug of, as the owner of a company, as a businessman, what could he do to make the world a better place? Mm-hmm. So he started going to Green Building Council meetings and learning about energy efficiency and how to build what is now our corporate headquarters here. So in 2006, we built this building that's behind us. It was the first LEED Gold building in the state of Ohio. And then every year he started investing profits of the company back into sustainability, a wind turbine, different types of solar, geothermal, LED lights, solar thermal. We have 65 EV charging stations across our campus.
I saw that. I mean, wow, I knew our producer, Matt King here, he was set up to get charged, which is great. I think it's very rare and really exciting. So he really had this vision, and then he was able to really execute on that vision.
The more he did, the more he realized there was a business need, that somebody needed to be out there helping other customers do this.
Yeah.
And so we had done all the testing here at our headquarters, and we narrowed down on solar PV. That was the technology that we felt was the best way to help other people. And so that's how Melink Solar got started back in 2008 as part of Melink Corporation.
It makes a lot of sense. Fabian, before we started filming today, was showing me around this whole campus for Melink Solar, like the headquarters 1, headquarters 2, and we were talking about how what is the goal? By 2025 or?
2025 was always Steve's vision that everybody here drives an electric car. I think we're still maybe a few years away, but I think if you look at our parking lot here, they are from a percentage significantly more let's say electric vehicles than you see on average. And again, I think it has a lot to do with 65 chargers. People have the ability to charge here. So also as an employer, as a company, you need to provide the environment and enable them.
I just recently went to the Cincinnati Zoo, and I went to the groundbreaking, I believe, for Melink Solar and these new solar panels right for parking. Can you guys tell me about this project?
So, it's the newest, really, let's say big. It's almost like a 3 megawatt solar array. I think it's in total the 5th project we're doing with the zoo. So if we go back all the way to 2012, 2011, when it originally started, again, big compliment to Steve Melink, who kind of like and invested some of his own money to make it happen. Kind of like he was really always, not only did he put his money where his mouth is, but he always did already things before it really became cool. And now the zoo is an amazing partner, I have to say. The zoo is just perfect when it comes to, you look at technology, innovation, kind of like long-term orientation. Mm-hmm. They're also doing that to cut the operating cost. You talk to Mark, the way they were able now to reduce their cost. But the zoo has,
huge.
I think, tripled in size their operating cost. He has reduced to 30% of the original operating cost, so it's also a real financial asset for them.
Wow.
And
really
and we're looking forward. We'll probably have a formal ribbon cutting in a couple of weeks.
I hope to get an invite. That sounds very exciting. So I do want to break it up a bit, and I do this a couple questions that I like to ask those that we have on the What Gives podcast. And so I'm going to ask you guys, and either one of you can start, but how do you guys start your day as leaders?
I usually, when I get up, I actually like to sit in front of my house, when it's warm enough, and have some coffee and enjoy the outdoors, and just try catch up on my iPad, with the news. I always look a little bit at the European news, especially in my home country, Germany, and then the local news, and try to read a little bit. And sometimes then I fall into catching up on emails and stuff like this. But usually I like to have a little bit of time to think about things in the morning, and but also look a little bit about the news.
Yeah, that sounds great. What about you, Seth?
So my answer has changed in the last 4 years. As you know, I have a couple young kids.
Right.
It used to be that my wife and I, we would go to the gym together, and we would get a workout in, and then we'd go to work. And then we had 2 kids, and so now my mornings, consist of changing diapers and getting the kids ready and getting the kids are they go to daycare just down the road from work. So
okay, that's so nice.
I take them into daycare, and I try to get it in the office, before 8 a.m. Try to be one of the first people here.
Seth, I see that you have some pretty stellar socks. Are these your kids on your socks?
Yes, absolutely. So if anyone is ever looking for a Father's Day present, this is my Father's Day present from my wife last year. I got socks with both of my kids on it and my dog.
Wow. So. Now all you need is like a t-shirt and a hat, and your whole outfit is complete. That's amazing. Fabian, we were talking before. The first time I met you was like 14, 15 years ago. I was working for the Speaker of the House, John Boehner, and you were working at and running Bilstein in Hamilton, Ohio. And we were coming to tour the factory, have a conversation. And it's so funny that now our paths collide again with what you're doing here with Melink Solar. Tell me about kind of your background a little bit, obviously in the automotive industry, and then how you came to be a partner here. It's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're absolutely right. I think it's really exciting that we see each other after such a long time. I still actually have really good memories of the visit from that
it was a fun visit.
Speaker Boehner. He was amazing. He was really great, engaging with our employees, and so it was one of the really, let's say, we had a lot of politicians visiting, and at the time, and he was by far the best. There was absolutely no question about it. And as you said, like my background is mainly in manufacturing, originally from Germany, and then came over to the US 24 years ago. Then the last 14, 15 years, I was CEO at Bilstein, and then eventually I was at a point where I said, like, hey, I wanted to do something new. It's an amazing company, and they continue to grow. And then my friend Ray and I, we decided to let's start our own investment firm, private equity firm, and invest in kind of like teams we believe in and in industries we believe in. And then that's where a little coincidental we met with Seth and then with Steve, and we found a way to become part of the team and help the team grow with our experience, with our network. I think especially manufacturing, there's still a lot of education needed when it comes to solar. I think there's still a bit of a misconception from a financial viability. And in reality, it is now. I mean, it's a home run. It's a no-brainer for anybody who has their own building and has a little bit long-time, let's say, view.
Can you tell me about like Ohio and solar, and also you guys and your company, because it sounds like really good things are happening at Melink Solar.
We've done solar projects in about 17 states. We've done projects. We're actually just wrapping up a project on Cape Cod.
Really?
And we have,
I love Cape Cod.
Yep. It's a really large canopy there, and we have
with battery storage.
Yep, with battery energy storage. So if you ever go to the fairgrounds in Cape Cod, Barnstable, you'll be under shaded parking with the solar array there. And we got a project out in Hawaii as well. It's an
Do you really? Where?
On Oahu. It's for an off-grid egg farm.
Wow.
So we do projects.
So cool.
Yeah, so we do projects all over the nation.
I didn't know that it was that broad.
Yep, but more recently, Ohio has really started to take off, which we're really excited about. Obviously, being based here in Cincinnati and based in Ohio, which has allowed us to really refocus our efforts kind of in the Midwest. And Ohio's an interesting market. A lot of people, when they think of solar, they don't think of Ohio, right? But last year, Ohio was actually the 5th state in terms of solar capacity installed. So to put that in perspective, Arizona and New Mexico, if you were to combine the amount of capacity that they installed in solar last year, was less than Ohio.
But I would not have thought that without you saying that. It's pretty impressive.
The industry has really grown a lot in general in terms of the cost coming down and being very mature. So the cost of solar has come down 80% over the last 10 years. And in 2023, also what was really interesting is that 53% of all new generation capacity came from solar, which is the first time in the United States that a renewable energy source was more than 50% of new capacity added. So it's really taking off across the United States.
Wow. I mean, it definitely sounds like it. So what then, you coming to Melink, have you always been here as a part of this team, or did you join the team?
Yeah, so it was actually my second job out of school.
Okay.
I guess maybe give you a little bit of background.
Yeah, where did you go to school? Give us the background.
Yeah, so before I went to undergrad, I actually spent a summer working at Honda on a manufacturing line. It was like a co-op program.
Sure.
Every 50-some seconds, I did the same job over and over and over on the assembly line. And that was pretty eye-opening to me. You know, my parents worked at Honda their whole lives, and I was like, wow. I have a lot more respect for them, given what they do every day, and how tough that job is. And so at that point, I realized I needed to find something that I was passionate about. I wanted to be able to go to work every day and do something that I enjoyed and didn't feel like it was a job and didn't feel like I was just collecting a paycheck.
Right. When I look at different industries, besides, let's say, different large corporations, what other industries do you see in Ohio, locally, projects that you're working on right now? Yeah,
so our customers include manufacturers, schools, a lot of universities, a lot of faith-based organizations, and small businesses. So it's really anyone who's thinking long-term.
Sure.
Solar, the solar panels have a 30-year warranty on them. And so anyone who's thinking about their building long-term is going to invest in a solar array if they're planning on being there for a while.
I think the messaging on sustainability and long-term really, really hits with me as a CEO of a foundation, right? Because everything we do is long-term sustainability on the investment front, right? Everything is long-term growth. So for me, that you guys are talking about long-term growth, it's like music to my ears, right? Because I do think that's important. You can't always live in the here and now. You have to look at the long-term projections. And I think now, just sitting down at the table with you guys talking about this, I'm excited. So what things do you think are on the forefront? Like, what should we be aware of as far as Melink Solar and solar in general? Like, what should we as Ohioans and frankly in the U.S. be paying attention to? There's
a lot of innovation going on right now. Batteries are being installed on the East Coast and the West Coast a lot right now, and is becoming more and more common. There's a lot of innovation that cost of batteries is coming down every day. So I think a lot of people are going to be installing solar, and then the next wave will be batteries and microgrids. This actually helps a lot with national security as well.
Sure.
So as we have solar arrays spread out all over the place, rather than large nuclear power plants or coal-fired power plants, if that one plant goes down, right, you have a situation like happened in Texas where the whole grid goes down. But if we have more distributed generation, solar and batteries spread all over the place, it's going to really help the grid. And right now the grid is being taxed, and by taxed I mean utilized pretty heavily, and will continue to be utilized heavily and need a lot of investments because of all of the electrification going on. Electric vehicles, Bitcoin mining, data centers.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So there's going to be a lot of investments that have to happen. One of the reasons we really like solar canopies is because it's an effective use of space, right?
Right.
You typically have a parking lot that's just a waste of space, and actually is a heat island with it being a black, asphalt, and just creates a lot of heat. You cover that.
Sure.
You actually improve that area, right? And so, a lot of people don't want to take farmland and cover it in solar panels and lose that productive farmland, right? So agrivoltaics really helps with that. And so that could be one of the next waves of innovation in the solar industry.
So tell me some more about some projects like that you guys have done, kind of your corporate philanthropy, whether it's local, beyond local. I mean, that's a really cool project.
One of our other big partnerships is with Sunlight Power. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they also partner with the Cincinnati Zoo as well. They do a lot of faith-based mission trips where they go into third world countries and build solar arrays for people who live in energy poverty.
Wow.
Kids who have never seen a light bulb go on, right? And they go into schools and provide power. And so we did a mission trip here a few years back where...
Did you go?
So
I'm like, wow, that'd be so cool for you to go.
Yeah, I didn't get the opportunity to go because my first son was about to be born.
Got it. And, yes, priorities are important.
My wife, she did not...
No, you need to be close to home, yes.
Yeah, but I definitely plan on going on a trip here soon. So we support them on projects.
That's great.
And there's been a number of projects. When we built our second building here, our second HQ that's just over here, there was a 50 kW array there. We took that out and we donated that to a local church as well. That was in partnership with Sunlight Power, helping, and actually I think some of the zoo folks came over and helped build that array, rebuild it for the church. There was a group called Working in Neighborhoods, so we spent some time with them on helping, with geothermal and solar, helping, design a community that could run, net zero for low-income families.
Sure. I feel like you're living out kind of the mission that you guys have set forth to do, right? And it seems like you guys have a very committed team. I was able to meet some during the tour that are supporting, that this is what you're doing, and you're making an impact, and you're making a long-term impact.
Fabian mentioned earlier about one of the benefits of being sustainable and having solar is retaining and attracting top talent, and I could say that is one of the reasons that I came to Melink, is that I saw what they were doing here, and that it wasn't just about making a profit, it was about making the world a better place and actually walking the talk,
right?
And having that culture. And so ultimately, enabling, that culture, I think is really important.
Well, and I do want to add here, Erin, we are hiring, so look us up,
I know,
look at our webpage. Like, we're always looking for talent. Now, we're a very young, dynamic, growing team, so we are constantly hiring right now.
No, and I could feel the energy as I was meeting some of the team and really looking at this whole campus here. It's awesome. So really kudos to you. I want to dive into something we ask all the CEOs and owners on the What Gives podcast, and that is, the world is ending tomorrow, and you are really, let's say it's ending in an hour. You've got a bug out bag, right? And that means you're putting stuff in to take with you when Armageddon here is happening. So my question is, Seth, we'll kick it off with you. What do you think you'd bring on that bug out bag? And you can save the whole my wife and kids and dog. Let's go real logistics here. What are you bringing?
So I think my answer would depend on what type of issue we're dealing with in this bug out bag.
Of course it would. Yes.
If the
Practical.
if the world is truly ending,
yes.
And there's an asteroid, coming to Cincinnati.
Right.
My wife is going to want a margarita.
Yeah. So I love that. Salty, extra salt.
We're going to take that. I'll probably take a glass of wine. One of my kids probably wants some snacks, and the other one's going to want a binky.
There you go.
And we'll all be happy. But
I like the asteroid example here.
if we think we have a chance,
yeah.
I'm going to maybe cheat and say that my bug out bag is my electric vehicle.
Ooh.
I'm going to pack a solar panel to charge it. So now I got
yes.
I got transportation, I got shelter, so I just need water. So I have to have one of probably those life straws to filter the water, and some type of fire starter or weapon to get some food.
I mean, wow! If that isn't repping Melink Solar, I don't know what is. So amazing. Now, what do we have over here? What do you think you would bring in here?
Let me actually start. I think not only would I take with me, but where would I go?
Oh, yes.
And I can tell you,
this.
I would go to the zoo. You know why?
Why?
They have like millions of gallons of water. They have electric power. They have solar.
Yes.
They make their own food. And let's say the world ends and the zombies are coming. They have bears and lions. So I don't think there's any other spot I want to be than the Cincinnati Zoo.
I like that.
So I would probably I would grab first a couple of bottles from my wine fridge. I probably also would shoulder at least like one solar panel or so, as I would bring my iPad and to have somehow some energy. But yeah, some good wine, my iPad, my family, my dog's coming along anyway, so I'm good to go.
You're good to go. I like that answer. And I mean, wow, I love it. The Cincinnati Zoo. And can you tell me too, what kind of wine? Is it European wine? What region are we talking about? I really like, I used to be more in the Spanish wines, which I still like, but I have to admit, I kind of got converted to the Napa caps, kind of like the Napa caps, or some good German white wines, kind of like some Grauburgunder, some really, really good German white wines. Those were great answers. I'm honestly blown away. I mean, I think that ranks up in our top 3 answers in the What Gives podcast. Talking to our listeners today, obviously, when I'm coming here, I'm driving my Toyota Highlander. Our producer is driving his Tesla. I'm obviously behind on the times on solar. What do you think you want to get across to like the everyday person on ways that you think they can come along? How would I start being more solar, right, and more green, and utilizing, I guess, what would be like the best practice you would first implement for the everyday human?
Well, I think maybe one step back. I mean, the first thing I would really recommend anybody go to our webpage, melinksolar.com.
Yes.
There are a lot of, let's say, use cases, case studies, kind of like where you can literally educate yourself. The other thing, reach out to us. We're always happy to help people, even if they don't buy something from us. Kind of like as we're a very mission-driven organization. And I think solar is just one of those things. Again, from my view, it's a no-brainer. You can pay up front, you structure it differently. That you don't have any really lay on your own cash out. There are different ways to do it. You just gotta get started.
Yeah, we were talking about 17 states. Is that what you said? Right, that you're currently Melink Solar has projects going on.
Yep,
and one of those was an egg farm in Hawaii. Is that right?
Yep. So we have an egg farm project in Hawaii. It's pretty exciting because it's an off-grid egg farm, and all of the power that's used on site is produced on site. And so it's a microgrid, which means it has solar and it has batteries and other technology. So the whole egg farm is powered and is not connected to the grid at all. And so the goal of that farmer, that company, is to produce all of the eggs for the islands of Hawaii. Eventually, we started with the first 4 egg laying houses back in 2018, and then they just expanded their operation to another 4. We're about to bring those 4 online, and then we'll build another 4 as they continue to expand their operations.
I think the next What Gives podcast we can just go to Hawaii, visit the egg farm. I mean, I'm in. So that sounds amazing.
Yep.
So we were also talking about some community impact and things that you're doing here in the region. And we were talking about like the faith-based organizations, right? And solar. Can you talk about that and how you're partnering and how that came to be, really?
Yeah, we actually have several faith-based customers that we really like to work with because of the mission that they have. So locally, we've worked with the Sisters of Charity. We've done several projects with them.
Yeah.
Up in Dayton, we've done projects for the Sisters of Precious Blood, Mount St. John, and we're about to kick off a project with the Sisters of Humility of Mary in Pennsylvania as well. So do a lot of projects.
So like what type of projects? And I'm really actually genuinely interested. I'm on the board at Mount Notre Dame, and we have the Sisters de Namur. And so what type of projects are you partnering with them on? Can you?
So both roof mount and ground mount projects. So wherever they have available space to put a solar arrays, and
would it be like what's behind us right now, like the ground mount?
Yeah. So typically bigger, not necessarily the smaller one-off things,
Sure.
but so it'll give you a sense of scale. Mount St. John was about 650 kW, I believe.
Okay.
The Cincinnati Zoo's 2.85 megawatts, so that gives you a little bit of sense of scale there.
It does. Yeah.
But we've done for Sisters of Charity, we did a project for them that was like around 50 kW.
Okay.
So they range in size depending on what their needs are.
Yeah, I think to get a little bit of feel for it, we're talking about size, megawatts, kilowatts. So probably an average home here in Ohio, if you install about, I say 10 to 15 kilowatts, you can probably become more or less net zero, and you can produce as much energy as you use. And then we have a lot of our customers who literally become net zero with their solar installation, and have the ability to get control of their cost, of their operating cost, and now have a reliable electric cost for the next 30 years, and not have to guess how much does the utility increase my rate next year or it doesn't.
Right.
And to maybe get a little bit of a reference, so in general we look at a levelized cost of energy of about 3 cents per kilowatt hour. Today you pay probably somewhere between 8 to 12, depends on where you live. So it's significantly below the current utility rate.
Can you talk about any of the faith-based organizations that are currently experiencing this joy of being net zero?
Yeah, number of our faith-based organizations have gone net zero. The Sisters of Charity project that we mentioned earlier, on that corner, there's 4 buildings there, including a brand new office building. Those buildings are net zero. And Mount St. John in Dayton, that's another example of that 650 kW array that they built, powers their entire campus as well.
To both of you gentlemen, I guess at what point, was it your childhood? Was it college? Kind of what inspired you to jump in to this industry, right? Because this is so futuristic, forward thinking. There had to be something, right, that you were like, you know what, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, so for me, it was in grad school at the University of Dayton. So I knew that I wanted to do something that I was passionate about, and so at the time, I thought solar and renewable energy was a cool industry that I wanted to be involved in. And for background, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, in a cornfield. So a small town called DeGraff, Ohio, close to DeGraff.
Oh, DeGraff.
So between Sydney, Bellefontaine, Indian Lake, a couple hours north of Cincinnati, and Logan County.
Okay.
So, climate change didn't exist. That was a hoax. I should have been driving a diesel truck and a tractor, right? And so when I was at the University of Dayton studying solar, I took some classes where I learned about climate change. And I learned about the science behind it and why it was actually real and why it was actually very, very important. And that to me was the wake-up moment of, wow, this is a huge problem, and if not me, then who? It's just an issue that is, probably the biggest issue that my generation is facing, and I need to, to dedicate myself to help and be part of the solution rather than part of the problem.
Right. And then what about you, Fabian?
It's a good question. I mean, I'm from my education background, I'm a mechanical engineer. So I've always been focused on a lot of technical topics. And then, coming from Germany, quite frankly, the majority, when I actually still was living in Germany, so solar was already quite popular. So probably a few years ahead here of the US, almost every single friend I have has solar on their roof, and
really?
I realized when over the last couple of years when I go back over there, they're actually now on their second generation panel. So they installed it 25 years ago, and they're now starting to replace to, let's say, new technology or more efficient. And so it just makes sense for me, kind of again, since it's become financially viable, it's good for the environment. It doesn't take much to think of hey, do I use sunlight for free, or do I burn something I have to dig out of the earth? So it just makes sense. And now the word is financially viable. So we'll love to be part of this and can be pushing this.
I just have to say I learned so much, one, about Melink Solar and kind of what you guys are doing here, your impact not only here, but right now 17 other states, which is huge. And I have to say, you've inspired me on this sustainability front. And I'm just really happy that both of you could join us on the What Gives podcast. Thank you very much for coming and sitting with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us, Erin. That was awesome.
To learn more about how to expand your philanthropy, please reach out to the Northern Cincinnati Foundation.